Hey there, real quick before we get into the episode, I just want to ask you a huge favor. As you know, this podcast isn't monetized, and I really hope to keep it that way. And so, what would really be awesome is if you did me the favor of passing it forward, paying it forward. Hit that share button if you want to share this particular episode, or share the entire podcast. Post it on your stories or in your social media, or share it directly with any individual that you might think would appreciate and enjoy this content. I really want to continue giving you value for free, sharing this information with you, because my mission is to help you on your journeys, right? And as I said, if you're finding this stuff helpful, chances are there's somebody else out there that will. So again, do me a quick favor, hit that share button, and let's get this message out. All right, on with the show. Media. So that you can continue to work towards building a better future for yourself, and then that as an extension for your family, as an extension of that for your loved ones, as an extension of that for the community around you, and then it reverberates, right? It reverberates and it has that butterfly effect, and that's how we make a better future for ourselves. Hi, my name is Ronnie Cruz. After almost 2 decades as a career network marketer, I realized that despite continual work on my personal and professional development, that I had hit a massive brick wall. So I took a deep and honest look at myself, top to bottom, hoping to find answers. And my search led me to one conclusion. The definitions I held of my business, of my world, of my life, were the very things holding me back. If I wanted to change, if I wanted to grow beyond my current circumstances, I had to wipe the slate clean and redefine. This show is dedicated to helping you identify the belief systems, the mindsets, the very definitions that have held you back, and then help you break through those limitations to finally create the life you've been working so hard to achieve. Welcome to the ReDEFINE Podcast. All right, welcome back to the show. Thanks for tuning in. Today, we're going to talk about the end of the world. That's right, the end of the world. Dun, dun, dun. This is a big conversation, and there's a lot to tackle. I know I'm not going to be able to get to every aspect of this particular topic, but there's certain specific things that I do want to land on. Now, first of all, if you're a conspiracy theorist, I want you to know that's not the conversation we're going to have today. So you can go ahead and skip this episode, especially if you're watching the YouTube version. I know there's a lot of that stuff on the internet and on YouTube. So that's not my shtick. So you can move right along. The conversation I do want to have, though, is the feeling of overwhelm that I think everybody's experiencing right now, right? The mental and emotional exhaustion as a direct result of feeling like the world is ending, right? Feeling like the world is crashing down around us, because it's easy to feel that way, right? With all the conflict and the turmoil, both domestically and internationally, or even in your local area, it's easy to feel like, to feel hopeless and to feel helpless about anything, and that we can affect any change in all of that. And especially as entrepreneurs, I mean, what's even the point of building a better future, of creating a vision for yourself, of a better future, if there's no future in the first place, right? If there's not going to be a future. And so I really want to tackle that today, because I'm seeing a lot of people around the world checking out, again, especially entrepreneurs, right? It's easy to check out of your entrepreneurial journey, especially if you're just at that side hustle phase, and you're dealing with everything else that we have to do and deal with in daily life. And again, all the stuff that we're seeing around the world, the entrepreneurial venture is the easy thing to check out from. All right. So that's the conversation. That's a conversation. I think it's an important one because, again, I really feel like everybody is going through this weariness and this exhaustion. I think it's taking a real toll on all our psyches, right? And so I want to kind of identify why that's happening and how it's happening, and identify the patterns so that you can become aware of those patterns and then address them within yourself, so that you can continue then to create the life that you want to create, right? That you can continue to pursue a vision of a better tomorrow for yourself and for your loved ones, because I want to guarantee you that it's still possible. It is still possible. Now, this feeling of that the world is ending, where does that come from? The easy answer is information. Information. We're inundated with information 24/7 at the in the palm of our hands, and a lot of that information is reporting on the conflict and the turmoil. Right? You see it on your feeds. You see it on posts. Especially if you follow news outlets. That's a lot of the information that gets shared. And I'm not going to comment on that. I mean, it's just how things work, right? We as consumers thirst for it, and that's what we're fed then, right? Even the algorithms know this, right? So it feeds us this kind of shock value because that's what we pay attention to, and that's what gets views. I mean, even if you look at like the conversations that you have with in your circles, a lot of those conversations, I bet, is like, oh, did you hear X, Y, and Z, and this next shocking news, right? Again, it's just how it works. Now, what it does, though, however, the constant exposure to all that negativity and doom and gloom is that it convinces us that the world outside our front doors is dangerous, right? As soon as you walk out your front door, you're in imminent risk and danger. And so the ancient part of our minds start to kick in, the part that's responsible for keeping us alive. It really kicks in and it throws us into survival mode. I think and I feel that the world right now is in survival mode, right? I think most people are in this kind of survival mode mentality. And what happens is two things happen. The first thing is we revert to routine, right? We revert to routine because routine creates predictable results. Predictable results then creates a feeling of stability and security and safety, right? Predominantly, that routine and that predictability that we rely on is the economic systems that are in place, right? Namely, going to a job, getting paid every week or every 2 weeks or whatever the pay period is, and then exchanging that income for food on the table, clothes on our back, roof over our head. That's that survival mode, right? And so it becomes really it gives us a feeling of safety and security because it does it does create predictable results. And so we rely on that. And the problem is that we go into autopilot, right? We go into autopilot and every day seems the same, and it becomes kind of humdrum and what's that movie? Groundhog Day, right? Groundhog's Day. Every day starts to look the same. And unfortunately, it might help kind of give you that temporary feeling of security and safety, but it's really, I think, ultimately unfulfilling. Now, what ends up happening is the second thing is that to search for fulfillment is that we go out and we seek new experiences. We seek distraction, right? In the form of distraction, whether that's scrolling on your phone and on the social feeds, or watching, binge watching Netflix, or even going out and seeking new experiences, right? And don't get me wrong, I love seeking out new experiences if it's intentional and if it's purposeful, it's what's the word I'm looking for? If it's intentional and purposeful, as opposed to being escapism, right? As opposed to like, okay, I want to escape how I'm feeling. I want to escape this overwhelm. I want to escape I don't want to have to think about, all this doom and gloom. And so let me go escape into this new thing. The problem with that is that then you have to return and go back into your routine and your day-to-day life. And there's still that looming feeling of overwhelm. And so all of that is, it can be very, very unfulfilling. And it just kind of becomes this cycle of, trying to run away from this feeling of hopelessness and helplessness, and escaping into routine and escaping into new experiences and into distraction. But none of it is really helping itself, right? Because there's an imbalance. There's an imbalance. I think there needs to be a level of realizing that is just pattern that our brains are wired to throw us into, and that when you're relying on that pattern, when you kick into that autopilot, then you're disengaging the conscious mind, and you're disengaging purposefully and intentionally choosing more creative avenues, or working towards a better and brighter future for yourself, a vision of a better tomorrow, right? So what can we do? What can we do? How can we counteract this? Again, it really is, I think, a matter of an imbalance of what we're telling ourselves about the world, right? Yes, again, I'm not ignoring the realities of what's going on in the world. There is some really, really bad, gnarly stuff that's happening, both man-made, inflicting on each other as well as inflicting on the planet. I recognize and acknowledge those realities, and I stay informed about those realities. However, I realize that as much of all of that is happening, there's also a flip side of the coin, right? There's a flip side of the coin, and the reason why it doesn't feel that way might be because I'm not looking at the flip side of the coin. It's as simple as that. If there's too much of this negative doom and gloom information coming into your headspace and not enough of the other stuff, then of course you're going to think and feel like the world is ending. But understand there are some good stuff happening as well, and that there are also people in the world that are having to shoulder the same kind of burdens that we all have to shoulder. I mean, we're all kind of experiencing this as a global community, and there are people that are thriving as a result, right? There are people that are taking this information and that are aware of it, but they're also going off and doing their amazing things and making a difference and making an impact in their lives and in the lives of the people that they care about, and then in the lives of the communities around them, right? So there's as much, if not more, good things happening in the world and change and growth happening in the world as there is conflict and turmoil. And it's just the level of exposure to that is really contributing to you perhaps feeling like the world is ending. So the first step then is to counterbalance it, right? To counterbalance it. I understand that, yes, it is important to stay informed, and it's important to just know what's happening around the world, especially in your local area. But be aware of the hopelessness that it makes you feel, and act accordingly. Number one, counterbalance it with other information. What I like to do, obviously, I mean, it's a personal development journey, right? Fill your head with good stuff, and good stuff comes out. Podcasts have been really a mainstay for me, especially in the recent months as I've gotten back into the groove of business, and especially with all the challenges and adversities that I've had to face recently. I mean, it's tough. Like I wake up and hit a wall of doubt every day. Every day. Do I have what it takes? And that's on top of, the recent current events in my life with my dad passing away, and the changes in my living situation, and the changes even financially that's happening, right? The changes that's happening within my company, my network marketing company, and the difficulties that's presenting. And then wanting to take, my own business in a new direction, rebuilding it, but not the way I built it before, innovating and doing new stuff with the internet and social media, and like, do I really have what it takes to do this on top of everything else that I have to tackle, on top of everything else that's going on in the world? And so, yeah, I wake up with a wall of doubt every day, and I know to counterbalance that with people that inspire me, right? With people that motivate me, with people that are out there doing it and making it happen, despite all the things that we all have to face as humans on this earth, right? There are people out there that are shining examples and guiding light, and so I want you to follow them. For me, right now, Brendan Burchard is high in rotation. Jasmine Starr is high in rotation. Jenna Kutcher is high in rotation in my, just to name a few, in my podcast list. So yeah, you just gotta fill your head with as much good stuff, if not more, than the negative and the news cycles, right? The tragedies and the calamities. Really, really important. And then don't forget that you can create a better future for yourself, right? Right. When you realize that there is a flip side of the coin, then there can be a brighter tomorrow. There can be a vision and a goal that you set for yourself and your family. And you might be thinking, well, like, how can you affect change when there's so many large things happening on a grand scale, on a global scale. How can one little old me, how can I affect change in that? Well, number one, participate in as much of the change that you want to participate in, right, on whatever level you can. For me, like there, in the past handful of years, of course, I participate in what's it called, in protests where I think there's injustices. I communicate and get my word out. I show support towards causes and things that I feel need my support, and that I want to help them with their missions. You know what I mean? So participate on that level, but also, as I mentioned, make sure that you're setting yourself a vision for your future, right? Make sure that you're creating goals for tomorrow, and then next week, and then next year. Make sure you always have one foot in the future of creating something new and better in your life, because if you don't, it's just going to be on autopilot, and you're going to be in escapism, and you're going to be in routine, and in that autopilot, you don't create any new results, right? You can't innovate. You can't create anything new when you're in routine, because routine creates predictable results, right? Routine creates the stuff that's already been created. So you're going to live in yesterday's results for the rest of your life if you don't set a vision for yourself. So set a vision for yourself. Listen to good audio. Listen and read things that are going to nourish you and that will strengthen you as we all face this turmoil and these conflicts, so that you can continue to work towards building a better future for yourself, and then that as an extension for your family, as an extension of that for your loved ones, as an extension of that for the community around you. And then it reverberates, right? It reverberates, and it has that butterfly effect. And that's how we make a better future for ourselves, right? Right? I know it's easy. Again, we can feel helpless. We can feel hopeless, but we have a lot more, I think we have a lot more option and choice in the matter, right? We have a lot more ability to affect change. And it all starts with affecting change within yourself, within your mindset, so that you can affect change within your life and within your future, and creating a brighter and better vision for yourself and for your loved ones. Again, it reverberates out from there, right? You have an impact. You matter. What you do matters. And so it's really important to be aware of these patterns that we kind of backpedal into. And don't get me wrong, like, it's not wrong to feel overwhelmed. It's not wrong to feel mentally and emotionally exhausted. I mean, I definitely rely on routine. My anxiety, the baseline anxiety for me is pretty high. It's pretty high. So routine is great because it creates stability and predictability, right? And so that minimizes the anxiety. And of course, I check out also, right? Like, I check out mentally, and I allow myself distraction so that I can decompress, right? That's a normal part, but it can't be the regular operating systems, right? You can't just live life on autopilot, because you're going to get to the end of your life and you're going to feel completely unfulfilled, right? So set a vision for yourself, and understand that there are people out here that are rooting for you, and that can guide your way as a shining light and as a beacon of example, and that there are people rooting for you to make it, because they're counting on you to help them as well, right? It's a reach forward and reach back kind of situation. There's people that I reach up to as in terms of my mentor, and there's people that I want to reach down to in terms of helping elevate them and lift them up, right? And so you can do the same. You have the ability within you to do the same. And I encourage you to really take these words to heart. I know it can be discouraging. I know it can be overwhelming and exhausting to kind of have to digest and shoulder all this burden. But the world and life isn't completely burdensome, right? There's some goodness to it, and there is a flip side to the coin, as I said. And so, if you really want to counterbalance in the world all the conflict and all the negativity, then participate in the flip side of that coin and help make the world a better place by taking charge of what's going on between your ears, right? All right, so that's the message for today. That's is the world ending? Yeah, I mean, it's always ending, right? I mean, it's definitely going to end billions of years from now when the Earth expires, or excuse me, when the sun expires, right? And who knows where the human species is going to be by then. We might be an interstellar species at that point. But yeah, I mean, even every day is technically a world ending, right? And we have the unique ability to start afresh tomorrow, even if today ended in a way that you didn't want it to end, right? So yeah, it's a fresh start. The here and now is what we have, and we have access to infinite possibilities in the here and now. So don't allow the negative and the doom and gloom news and information to affect your here and now, because that's going to affect your future, right? Counterbalance all of that with goodness, with light, with motivation, people that inspire you, so that you can keep your foot set in a future of brighter tomorrows and outcomes and goals that you want to set for yourself. That's how to access the infinite future possibilities, right? So that's the message for today. Obviously, more from me next week. So hopefully this made sense. If it didn't, please, message me. Come find me on the socials. I know it's a big topic, but you can come find me on the socials. If you're part of our Facebook community, the ReDEFINE community on Facebook, and you were listening to this version of this episode, I tossed out all the other live recordings that I did, over the last 2 live sessions. So this is a brand new, completely different version of this topic that you haven't heard yet. So, and of course, if you're listening to this and you're not part of our community yet, come join us on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/redefine community. And beyond that, I'll see you in the next episode next Tuesday. So until then, be well, be safe, and go towards goodness.